Okay, here we go. This is the first time I've done any of this. No idea what I'm doing, and I'm hoping I do good. Yeah, that's a good start. The Rise of Team Outcast by Tenzo51. On the eve of the Kyubi, the Yondaime Hokage stumbles upon a baby, and not just any baby, but the newborn child of the fox itself. Now, years later, Naruto Uzumaki has accepted his life as the Fox Son, and along with his friends, shows the world just how powerful a group of outcasts can be. Chapter 1: Birth of Team Outcast. The village hidden in the leaves, more commonly known as Konoha to many, the village was home full of great heroes and legends, such as the former Hashirama Senju, or his brother Tobirama, the great Professor Sarutobi Hiruzen. However, the most famous to date is the great fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, for his use of the Flying Right Thunder God technique for a spectacular defeat of the great Kyubi no Kitsune. But our story is not about those legends. It is about a different set of legends. Legends that were born from the shadows. The warm sun beat down on the Ninja Academy, and inside, students talked and laughed as they waited for their sensei, Iruka Umino, to arrive for class. However, while most of the students chatted with friends, one group of three sat apart from the rest. Off in the corner, hidden by the shadows, were three kids that to most never really fit in anywhere else. The first was a young boy with black hair and brown eyes, and red fangs on his cheeks. He wore a black and white coat that was unzippered, black ninja pants, and black shinobi sandals. On his lap was a small puppy with the same color on as his clothes. This was Kenji Inuzuka and his partner Takamaru. Next to him was a girl who probably stood out the most of the group. Her hair was snow white and her eyes a piercing amber. Her clothes did little to hide her lithe, almost cat-like body, with blue wraps forming a bra and giving her some decency, having to wear a shirt, metal arm bracers, and guards. A blue battle skirt that covered her full lower half and blue armored sandals. However, what truly made her stand out were the pure white cat ears sticking out of her hair, and a cat tail the same color out her backside. Her name was Kiana Yukinomiko. Finally, the last and leader of the group was another boy. His hair was a golden blonde that was an upkeep but cute, messy kind of look, and his eyes were a deep blue. He wore a black body shirt and black pants similar to Kenji, and black knee guards. His sandals were black by his sandals were black by had red mixed in as well. To top it off, he wore red fingerless gloves and a long black trench coat with a red fox pressed into the back, curled to make it look like a spider. He was named Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the son of the fourth Hokage, or so everyone thought. Naruto sighed as he gazed down at the more annoyed members of his class, mentally begging someone to do something to shut them up. His advanced hearing was making them killer, and he couldn't deal with loud noises at the moment, as he was still half asleep from his nightly training sessions. You see, Naruto was not a normal boy similar to how his friends were. He was different in his own way, and no one knew how. The reason he was born was simple. He was not the son of the fourth Hokage. In fact, he wasn't even fully human. Naruto was Kitsune, and the son of the very demon his adopted father had sealed into his adopted sister. His mind played over what he knew, as it always did when he thought about it. For nearly the From nearly the day he was born, he had been raised in the Namikaze household as the son of Minato and Kushina, along with the brother of Natsumi. However, even at a young age, he knew he was different. He was better at things than most other children. He liked things most didn't. He acted differently than most expected. It wasn't until his 6th birthday, however, that he discovered the truth. Flashback. It was late evening at the party for the two Namikaze finally died down, and Naruto and Natsumi went up to bed. The two were happy as could be, having seen their friends and gotten a great birthday with that promise to both of them they would start training soon. Night, brother. Natsumi gave Naruto a hug, going to her room. Night, sis, Naruto replied, heading into his own. He got changed and got into bed quickly, and not a minute later, his dad came and wished him good night. With a smile, he closed his eyes and drifted off into sleep. However, what seemed like only a few minutes later, he opened his eyes groggily as he heard the sound of dripping water and sat up, rubbing his eyes as he looked around, used when he found he was in some kind of sewer. Hello? He called out, listening to the echo to see if anyone was there. Naruto, this way. A voice responded to him. It was nothing more than a whisper, but it sounded kind and loving for some reason. Being curious, he stood up and followed the voice as it kept encouraging him to come closer. Soon he entered a large room and found himself in front of a massive set of gates, seal on them. Now, even more curious. Where was I? God damn it, I lost my way. This way. Now, even more curious, he drew closer, only to recoil and yell in surprise. Above him, in the darkness, a massive red eye had opened, and not long after that, the shadows peeled back to reveal a form he had only ever heard his parents talk about in their stories. A large fox with rabbit-like ears and 9 massive, flowing tails. The Kyuubi, he said, clearly frightened. Why was it here? Where was he, and how was he still alive? The massive fox looked at him and moved his head closer, causing him to yell in fright. Please don't hurt me, he said, closing his eyes. Now why would I go and harm my own kit? A voice said, the same voice that had led him to the cage. That was what confused him. He opened his eyes and looked at the Kyuubi. It was smiling softly. Its eyes were not of hatred and evil, but love and happiness. 6 years I've been waiting to meet you. Now I finally get a chance to see what a cute little boy you've grown into, the Kyuubi said. What do you mean? How do you know me? Why are you still here? My dad destroyed you. Yes, the fox lowered her head and said, I'm here because the Yondai sealed me here, inside your sister, marking her as a Jinchuriki, someone who wields the power of the tailed beasts. But Naruto, this will come as quite a shock to you, but the Yondai Hokage is not your father. Just as Kushina, my last jailer, is not your mother. What do you mean? He asked. Something inside him was stirring. Like he knew she was right, but he wanted the full picture. 6 years ago, I was sealed inside Kushina, who at the time was pregnant with her daughter Natsumi, the girl I am sealed within. However, one night, on the night of her birth, a man with an orange scroll-like mask appeared and ripped me from her before controlling me in some kind of genjutsu. I was forced to attack your village under his orders, however. Eventually, the Yondai Hokage freed me by defeating the man, and I was under control of myself again. I, at the time, however, had a secret of my own. No one knew of. No one knew of. I myself was with child. More specifically, Naruto, I was pregnant with you, Kyuubi said. It took a minute for that information to hit the young boy, but when it did, he was floored. He was the son of a demon, not a hero like he thought. Yet again, that feeling came as if telling him it were true. How, though? He asked, making her laugh. Well, you're a bit too young for that talk yet. However, I will tell you it's different for tailed beasts. Because we are living entities of chakra, but also mythical creatures in our own right, we follow a different set of rules. For me, I could assume a human form as well. Once upon a time, I did, and a drunken night with a man led me to having you. Don't think I consider you a mistake, Naruto. You're my son, and you always will be, she said, seeing the semi-hurt look on his face. He thought for a moment. He was a mistake. Okay, so let's say I believe you. Why didn't you just leave with me? He asked. No why, but he had started to believe her. Shortly after you were born, a group of shinobi found me and attempted to kill me in my weakened state. The stress of the mind control coupled with instincts to protect you kicked in, and they attacked again, forcing the Hokage to seal me. After he did, he must have come across you sleeping in the forest and took you home, she said. Naruto thought all this over. He was almost sure that what she said was actually the truth. He was good at telling when someone was lying to him, even though he was only 6. Still, though, he wanted to be sure. So so who do I know? Forgive me. So how do I know you're telling the truth? He asked. She smiled, glad her son was at least her. She smiled, glad her son was at least willing to give her a chance. One of her tails came around and moved close to the bar. The easiest way to unlock is to unlock your tail beast powers. Come and touch my tail, and I will jumpstart them, she told him. He stood. He wanted to know if all this was a trick or if he really was her son. Slowly he walked forward nervously, and slowly he would not walk forward. Nervous he would be attacked, but he did reach for her tail and put his hand against it. Suddenly he felt like a lightning bolt had struck inside him. Power washed over him like nothing he had ever felt, and he could actually feel his body change. When it was done, he fell flat on his butt and shook his head. That was weird, admitted and rubbed his eyes. He looked and caught a glimpse of his reflection in the water in the sewer, and his eyes widened. There, on top of his head, were 2 yellow gold-colored rabbit ears. After checking behind him, a single fox tail of the same color was sticking out of his tailbone. He looked up at the Kyuubi as things came back to him. Memories of when he was a baby, barely born. Normally he shouldn't have been able to remember that, but he did. He remembered being wrapped up in warm tails and looking up at his mother's face as she licked him clean. Mom? Naruto said, feeling himself get tear as he jumped up and rushed into the cage and hugged her. Kyuubi had wrapped her large tails around him and did her best to nuzzle her in small form. Now and always, my little kit, she said, and a flashback. He had spent the rest of the night with her in her cage and got to know her. And sure enough, when he woke up the next morning, he found he had rabbit ears and a fox tail. Since that day, he learned to hide them and accept that he was Kyuubi's son. In face, he embraced it wholeheartedly. Naruto, He was pulled out of his thoughts when he felt someone tap his shoulder and looked up. Kiana, gazing back with her usual stoic look and blank face mask. Lost in memories again? She asked him. Outside of Kushima and Minato, who knew that he was the Kibi's son, having adopted him, Kenji and Kiana were the only ones who knew his secret. Yeah, I'm sorry. What did I miss? He asked, rubbing his eyes. Nothing much. Just Iruka-sensei going over the theory work again. Think you probably haven't done 1,000 times over. Genji told him quietly, thanks to his mother, who gave him nightly educational sessions with topic from shinobi training to the history of the elemental nations to even the history of the tailed beasts. Naruto was seen by most as a prodigy who was second to none. Not even the class favorite Sasuke Uchiha could outclass the blonde, something that pissed the raven-haired boy off to no end. So what memory was it this time? Kiana asked out of curiosity. Day me and my mom met for the first time, you told her? Must have been nice, she replied. Both boys knew not to bring up family when it came to Kiana, as she had a rough past. The family was not from Konoha, and was instead from a small village in Marsh country. Her clan had a unique Keke Genkai, as it gave the wielder cat-like animalistic traits such as advanced hearing and smell, reflexes, and so forth. The cost of they usually grew cat ears and tails. Sadly, the village had ostracized the clan to the point that they were almost powerless, and during a particularly bad revolt, her clan was all but wiped out. She had been the only survivor and had traveled to Konoha in hopes of starting a new life. Hey, come on, fish breath, no sad stuff, Kenji said, making her glare at him. How a dog person like an Inuzuka and Kiana, who was half cat, got along was a mystery. That, of course, didn't stop them from insulting each other every 10 minutes. Oh, bite me, fleabag, she said, ignoring his glare. Can you two stop for a day, please? I have a killer headache and it's driving me nuts, Naruto asked. He just didn't have the patience to deal with them today. Yeah, sorry about that, Chibi, Kiana said, making Naruto glare at her. She had started calling him Chibi the moment they figured out he could transform into a fox. So, you guys excited? The exams are tomorrow, and some luck, we'll be full-fledged Genji asked, smirking as he thought about being an awesome ninja. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, Genji. Something tells me we're gonna have to deal with a few more things before we get even close to being Genin, Naruto said. How do you figure that? He said. Yes. Call an animal instinct, Naruto said with a smirk. With the chattering done, the trio turned their attention back to Ruka and half focused on the lesson they were being given. Naruto already knew of it, of course, but his friends didn't. Even though Naruto was a genius and had been offered to graduate early multiple times, he refused them for two very good reasons. The first was he wanted to graduate with his friends, try to be put on a team with them. They were called the Beast Squad in the village since they had a reputation of being oddities and breaking the village any chance they got. The second reason was a bit more personal. He wanted to stay in class to keep an eye on Natsumi and make sure she was safe. Not a lot of people knew this, but a lot of the civilians and some ninjas still bore a grudge and hatred for the Kyuubi. Most would think that her having it sealed in her would make the village treat her like a hero. However, while some did, a good chunk also looked at her with hatred, as they wanted the Kyuubi to pay. Whether or not his mother had been manipulated, Naruto knew she had done quite a lot of damage to the village. More than once had he stopped some random drunk civilian from attacking her in the streets to try and take care of the Kyuubi once and for all. This had made him very protective of her because of his fox instincts, and it had made Minato cautious about who Natsumi was with. It angered him his daughter would be hurt, and he had anyone who did it usually severely punished. Soon the class was called up near the front of the room for the hand practice. He watched as the class performed the jutsu, some having better luck than others. He paid the most attention when it was his sister's turn. Natsumi was the most quiet. Natsumi was to most people quite someone to look at. She had shoulder-length blonde and red hair. Her eyes were a maroon violet like her mother's. She usually wore an orange battle dress with black pants and a bandage tied around her right leg, with a hoister and hip pouch. She didn't wear sandals like the others, and instead went with armored combat boots to go with her more tomboyish personality. And to complete the image, she wore armored gloves and wrist guards with the Uzumaki swirl on them. Transform! Natsumi said after a moment and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Then it cleared. She had become a perfect replica of their father, despite the fact that her reserves were massive for her age because of her mother sealed inside her. I ought to admit his sister had a very good control thanks to other training. Well done, Natsumi, Iruka said, marking her off. All right, next up, Naruto, he said. Naruto smirked mentally as he stepped forward, deciding to have a little fun and fed his natural trickster side. He smiled and created a hand sign. Transform! Naruto said and disappeared in a puff of smoke. However, when the smoke cleared, then his father, Naruto transformed into a redhead, red hair, and absolutely an impressive bust with absolutely no clothes on. To top it off, he had even let his ears, which were not up to, which were now up to 4, out to give his look even more beauty and mystery. Hi, boys, she said in a seductive voice. Every boy in the class was instantly knocked flat on their ass with powerful nosebleeds. Even the normally stoic Uchiha was looking at the figure with a bit of drool out of his mouth. The girls of the class looked ready to beat the hell out of him, especially his sister, who despised perverts with a burning passion. Naruto, take this seriously! Ruka yelled, having covered first and used his infamous big head jutsu. The form went up in smoke, and Naruto, minus tail and ears, reappeared and was rolling on the ground laughing his head off. Off to the side, Kiana was failing to stiffen her laughs at classmates' reactions to the little piece of fun that her friend had. Unfortunately, Kenji had been knocked out by nosebleed as well. The fact that Kiana would not be letting him forget anytime soon. Your faces are priceless. Oh, I knew it would be a. Seriously, even made the Uchiha drool. Naruto managed to get up between his laughing fits. Naruto! Iruka growled, getting the boy to stop laughing again. Okay, okay, Iruka-sensei, no need to get your panties in a twist, he said, calming down and made the hand sign again. Transform! He said again, and this time changed himself into Iruka, minimal difficulty. Ignoring your perverted transformation, this is it's perfect as usual. Good job, Iruka said, letting him transform back. Once the boys of the class were awake again, the lesson continued. Naruto set off to one side as usual. However, his head was soon smacked face first into the desk. Ow! God, sis, did you have to hit me with a chakra punch? Naruto whined as he rubbed the back of his head. His sister stood over him, clearly pissed. Well, I need to make sure you had a brain up there for coming up with that perverted technique, she said. Come on, sis, admit it. Even though it was pervy as hell to make riot roll, you have to admit it is effective, Naruto countered. Natsumi sighed. She wouldn't deny it was effective, even though it was just wrong. Fine, I will at least give you that, she said, back to sit back in her spot. After Kion and Kenji finished and soon returned and joined Naruto. A few hours later, class was out for the day, Ruka reminding them that the test beginning was the next day, and to study hard. So, we have a few hours to kill. Want to go and train or something? Kian asked, looking at the two. Sure, I got nothing better to do, and training sounds like a better idea than anything I can come up with, Naruto said with a shrug. Me and Takamaru got game too. We have to try. We have a new jutsu we have been dying to try, Kenji said with his trademark smirk plastered on his face. Hey guys! A voice said behind them. He turned and saw Natsumi jogging to them. Oh, hey Natsumi, Kiana said, giving her an eye smile. Though Natsumi had her own friends, she always enjoyed hanging out with them and was always welcome to join them as sort of the fourth member of their little oddball circle of friends. You guys are going out the train and study for the test tomorrow, right? She asked, making them nod. Mind if I tag along? I can't deal with Ino right now, and Hinata and Shikamaru are busy tonight, she asked. Sure, you can come with us. You are always welcome to come with us. Forgive me. Sure, you are. Sure, you are always welcome to come with us, Naruto said, shrugging. Thanks, guys, she said, joining them as they headed down to one of the training grounds to get some practice in and study for tomorrow's exam. Little did they know just how much come to light that very day. Alright, well, that's the first chapter of the Rise of Team Outcast. Honestly, I really enjoyed the story. I remember reading it a few years ago, and I thought, you know, it's a good series, and I thought, why the hell not? Let's give it a shot. Uh, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, all that. And if you have any more stories you want to me to read, please don't be afraid. Until next time, I'm the Chaos Master, and it's kind of incredible being here for once. Chaos Control!